Global happenings today. We communicate. We analyze global news. Stay tuned.
Hello, good people. Welcome back to our channel. We're so excited to have you again. Governor Elias of Benue State, who currently is going through so much, especially the level of planned attack going on in Benue State and taking the lives of these people, have decided to come out to cry out. And he's making Nigerians to understand that the state is under siege. He opened up that most of the attacks that happen in Benue State, though they may have some knowledge of it that is going to happen, that it's so well planned out such that they are not traces. He also made Nigerians to understand that certain people are behind it, and we're going to be looking at that, and also what the reaction of the Northerners as it has to do with the call for a state of emergency in Benue State, considering the rate of terrorism attack going on there. But first of all, let's look at what he has to say about those responsible for those planned attacks in Benue State. Now, according to the news, Benue State Governor Hyson Alias had accused top-serving politicians in Abuja and the National Assembly of instigating killings, harboring, and feeding those responsible for the crisis in the state. Report has it that Alias made the allegation during an interview describing the situation as very unsettling and extremely unacceptable. The governor said that while the politicians were interested in fighting for their position, it was his right to protect and save the interests of the masses. Although Alias failed to disclose the names of the politicians allegedly involved in the killings, he stated that a judicial panel has been set up to investigate the reason behind the attacks, adding that the report indicted many big names and vowed to take up the matter when he receives the full report. In his words, and I quote, he said, "It is very, very unsettling because top politicians who are very functional and are in the National Assembly and are in Abuja are the architects and arrowheads of not just instigating but harboring and keeping these people and feeding them in the bushes and taking care of all their needs and buying all other gadgets for them. This is extremely unacceptable. If they do not love the lives of the people and they are only fighting for their own position, I think I am serving the interests of the common masses, and it is a concern to me and it is my right to protect them. We set up a judicial panel to sort out for us why we kept having attacks from within and from without, and we have received an interim report between Tuesday and Wednesday next week. I am going to get full report from the panel. So once we receive this report that is coming, we are going to take it up and take it very seriously. These are quite a lot of big names that are mentioned here. So this is where we are. Also, in a related development, a northern group, Pathfinder Arewa Project, PAP, has criticized the Charismatic Bishop Conference of Nigeria for calling on the federal government to declare a state of emergency in Benue State. A call by the CBCN followed recent deadly attack by armed raiders on communities in Benue. At a press conference, the PAP chairman Abdulhamid Abdullahi Jakadan said the bishop's demand was politically motivated and aimed at undermining Governor Hyson Alias' administration. However, the statement by Bishop Leonard Kawas contained troubling inflammatory rhetorics and dangerously politicized narrative that must be corrected. Jagadan questioned why a state of emergency was not declared in Zamfara, Katsina, or Borno states, which have also suffered mass killings and abduction. In his words, he says, if a state of emergency was the solution, why was it not imposed in this state? Why is CBCN advocating it only in Benue State? He accused CBCN of being sponsored by opponents of Governor Alias to discredit his effort. According to him, he says, men of God are men of integrity. They should not allow themselves to be used by politicians bent on undermining the governor. He called for a focus on strengthening security, promoting local conflict resolution, and fostering dialogue among ethnic and religious groups. According to him, he says, we agree injustice must never be tolerated, but justice should be pursued with truth, restraint, and responsibility. Jagadan urged the CBCN to build bridges rather than reinforce stereotypes or divisive narrative. He acknowledged government efforts, saying increased security deployment and dialogue initiatives were ongoing, though more is needed. Discrediting this effort entirely is neither fair nor productive. Constructive criticism should accompany proposals that foster collective security, not deepen mistrust. He called on religious leaders to use their influence to promote peace, not panic. In his word, he says religious leaders carry immense influence and must use their platform to unify, heal, and de-escalate, not amplify sectarian anxieties or lend legitimacy to conspiracy theory. The security challenges in Benue are rooted in long-standing competition over land, environmental degradation, and weak state mechanism for conflict resolution. Portraying the crisis strictly through a religious or ethnic lens risks inflaming tensions and inciting division in a pluralistic society, he concluded. Wow, this is really serious, I must say. The case of Benue State has been quite troubling. I mean, as of yesterday, when the governor gave his position about the attack, it clearly shows that he can't contend with it. But then everybody is in know that one of the security chiefs have decided to change his location from Abuja to Benue State. The intent is to know the strategy adopted by these so-called attackers and see how they can be stopped. But the big question is, the statement made by the River State governor leaves one with so much shock. How can security personnel be on ground and they come in tiptoe in the mid of the night, carry out their mayhem, walk out, and no one can trace them? Are they spirits? That's the big question. Are they spirits? Sorry to say, unfortunately, I think these are situations that really call for state of emergency. Because if, a governor can come out and say, I can't even trace how these guys come in and walk out and leave so much impact behind, that they don't know how that today is now pointing fingers at what they call them, at politicians. Some of them are in House of Assembly, some instead in the Senate, and some are politicians in Abuja. But then I think it's not all about them. You have the security vote. If you buy all the relevant vans and everything required, put enough checks everywhere, there is no way these guys can infiltrate every local government. Have on-ground vigilantes who are being powered with all the gadgets they need. Buy them phones, buy them every other gadget needed, and let them have vans. I can assure you that those youths can take care of these so-called, appear, disappear terrorists that as he's talking about. The level of attack in Benue State calls for immediate involvement of the federal government. There must be a strategy that the military should adopt to put all of this under check, because it's unbecoming. Every day the governor comes in and give a news story that this has happened, this one has happened, this one. I don't blame the bishops coming out to say state of emergency should be declared, because it seems as though the governor cannot even handle the situation. Nothing like that happened in Rivers State, and before we know, state of emergency. Is it because it's an APC state? I'm not saying that state of emergency should be declared there, but I think the president should look beyond, the issue of party and see how that state can be served, because it's been there for as long as history. But then something can be done, even if you cannot totally eradicate the attack, at least to curtail it to the barest minimum is what the target should be as a noun. It's too often, and it's quite disturbing. We'll leave it there. Let's